I'm amazed how easily you can move such a giant shield around like it's nothing.
Really? It's not actually as heavy as it looks.
It's really reassuring to have someone like you protecting us, though.
You know, I guess I never realized it before, but looking back, I've always been the sort to put myself in harm's way to protect those around me, even before I joined the Eldiman Guard. So in a way, using this shield to keep you all safe feels like it's what I was meant to do.
You don't need to worry about protecting me. I don't plan on relying on you.
That's okay. It doesn't matter if you do or not. I don't protect people because they ask me to. I do it because I want to, and because I think it's the right thing to do. That goes for you too, Dohalim.
Me?
Yes. You see, you and I both want the same thing. We have the same goal. That means it's in my best interest to continue to protect and keep you safe as well. Even now.
I'm not sure how much protecting I'll need either, but I appreciate the thought. I'm sure you'll do us proud, Kisara.
Right. You can all count on me.
What was Kelzalik even after in the end?
Isn't it obvious? Clearly he wanted the throne for himself, and was gonna have his goons execute Dohalim to get it.
He had to have known he couldn't hope to defeat a lord. He should have run while he had the chance, instead of holding himself up in the palace.
Maybe he thought he couldn't run? Either way, the outcome's the same.
So he got desperate and decided to go for broke?
One might argue that he was another victim of mine, in a sense.
Huh?
There is no greater calling in life to a Renan than the crown contest, yet I refused to take part. The shock he felt at that must have been truly immense, enough to drive him to revolt, even though doing so meant defying Renan hierarchy.
I know I've said this before, but Dahnans and Renans wouldn't coexist here if it wasn't for your stance.
But that was no lofty idealism on my part, nor do I feel any pride at what occurred.
Spare us the pity party. You literally just joined us to uphold those ideals.
Shionne?
No, she is absolutely correct. I shall speak no more of my misgivings.
Do you sense one of your friends, Hootle?
Mahag Sar. That makes 4 out of the 5 realms that I've visited now.
I wonder what kind of lord we're gonna find there.
It doesn't matter. If they try to get in our way, we'll take them down and that'll be that.
I won't forgive you!
You're mine! You're finished! Megasonic thrust! Here I come! Take this!
It's in the sky!
Double demon fang! It's over!
Now you see what I can. Now I'm in the groove.
Here I go!
Thunderfield!
Well then. Get lost!
Strike!
Eat this!
Take this!
Reload! Steel force!
Strike!
Here it comes.
Take this!
Swallow
You're
dance.
finished!
Mega ray!
You're mine!
Do it!
Look sharp. Lightning tiger blade.
Over so soon?
Get lost!
Here I come! It's over!
Into the shadows!
I'm not done! You're mine! You're finished! I'm not done! Strike! This one's all mine! Demon Fang! I'm not done!
Wind astral energy!
Let's keep our eyes on the prize. way!
Here I come!
Get to the way!
No escape!
This'll come in handy.
Mirage! You're finished! Come one, come all!
Here!
Thrust!
Shining supernova!
Take this! Ah!
It's showtime!
You're done!
Here!
Here I come!
Get
It's
on
over!
I'm on a roll now!
Ah!
Anything in armor is all
Do
right.
it! Here I come!
Astral energy!
Say no more! That astral energy was incredible!
I gave it everything I had.
I didn't realize there was a pond here.
Yeah, this is Taka Pond. And it happened to have saved my life once upon a time.
What do you mean?
As a kid, I survived life under the past lords by escaping here when I needed to. It's terrible to swim in, but great for catching a bite for dinner away from Renan eyes. Bear in mind, our rations back then weren't enough to live off of. You had to take matters into your own hands if you wanted enough food to survive.
But how did you catch them? With your bare hands?
That might take a while. Fish are prone to swim away at the first sign of trouble. I'd put bait or a lure on a line and use it with a fishing rod. You must not be familiar with fishing if this sounds new to you. Here, let me show you how it's done.
I hope we catch something decent.
Indeed. Hungry bellies are counting on this. Hup! Not my lucky day, I guess. Hup! Could it be? Ugh. 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 You've got to know when to quit. All right. Ugh. That was disappointing. Reel it in. Ugh. 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 Well, that wasn't much of a challenge.
Guess it's important to stay calm.
And that's all there is to it.
Wow. It seems like you need to have good reflexes to catch anything. I don't know if it's really for me. Kisara? I think I've seen enough.
Oh, sorry. I guess I'm just in my own little world when I go fishing.
Looks like we're going to be here for a while.
That's how fishing goes. You wait for a bite, and then the real battle begins. Miguel told me that different fish live in different regions, and you have to pick the right rod and lure for what you're hoping to catch.
But that doesn't change the fact it's a giant time sink.
Of course, each fish has its own unique flavor, too. And some of them are supposed to be extremely delicious.
When you put it like that, maybe it's worth me trying my hand at fishing after all.
You're just in it for the food.
I was hoping we'd get to fish during our travels. And it just so happens I made sure to grab my brother's old rod before I left Vicente. So, if you ever feel like fishing when we've got a little downtime, just let me know.
Good to hear. Thanks for showing us.
Okay!
Maybe something's going on in the forest.
I'm always amazed what healing arts can do.
Just doing my job. No need to thank me.
it just me, or have those two barely spoken a single word to one another?
I know, right? But after everything that happened with Miguel, is it really any wonder?
Kinda puts a damper on the whole journey though, huh? How long do you think they're gonna keep this up?
If it bothers you that much, why don't you ask them?
Why do I have to ask?
How come you walk together like that?
She really doesn't beat around the bush.
You mean Kisara and myself?
You hadn't noticed? You've been practically joined at the hip ever since we left Vicente.
I guess it's force of habit, most likely. I was always ready to protect him, should the need arise. It sort of came with the job description.
Right. From being in the Elder Menancia Guard. Although, Dohalim's pretty capable of defending himself, isn't he?
Having guards doesn't necessarily mean the one being guarded is weak. No one's perfect all the time.
Even so, it's not like they're entirely wrong, Kisara. You're no longer in my employ, after all.
I don't know. I mean, if it's what she's used to and you're both comfortable with it, then who are we to judge?
But she doesn't serve him anymore. It isn't normal for her to keep following him around like she still does.
You know, she's probably right. And a lot has changed over the last few days. I guess it wouldn't hurt to rethink our relationship in light of the new circumstances. Perhaps I'll give it some thought after all. Does that sound all right by you?
Of course.
You might want to stop asking his permission for every little thing while you're at it.
Sorry. It's not that easy, shaking off old habits. I'll probably need a little time to get fully used to it. I've noticed that sometimes we come across enemies who fight like you, and try to dodge our attacks at the last second.
I hate those guys. I can get some hits in when they move into attack, but otherwise they slip past damn near everything else I throw at them.
If what you're seeking is a way to more reliably hit them, there is a solution.
Try to outclass them on reflexes?
I possess the ability to command Earth elemental beings to some extent. They emerge as the land itself and take root on my command. They will swiftly bind the enemies, at which point you can dispatch them.
Huh?
What he means is that he can make plants grow to hold the enemies in place. At least I think that's probably what he's saying.
I'm glad at least one of us understands him. So basically, if we find an enemy that likes to dodge, we should let Dohalim handle it.
I shall do what I can within my modest means to help.
Why are you looking at me like that?
That armor you wear is standard issue for the Menancian Guard, right?
Originally, I've added some flair to it in a lot of places.
I noticed, especially with that open back.
We guardsmen pride ourselves on never showing our back to our enemies. It's my way of making myself live up to that. Plus, it makes it that much lighter and easier to maintain.
Dohalim, do you have anything to say about this?
Every guardsman is allowed to wear their armor as they see fit.
And you, La?
Huh? Why are you asking me?
Kisara, let's talk for a bit. Maintaining your shield? It's becoming a familiar sight.
Miguel was the one who taught me how to maintain my equipment after I first joined the Guard. Now, it's just a part of my routine.
Your brother always seems to come up whenever I talk to you.
That's because we had no other relatives, so it was just the two of us growing up. He was my idol, the one I looked up to and wanted to be like. When I became a guardsman, Lagiel wasn't too pleased to see me at first. It was Miguel who really welcomed me aboard.
Lagiel? Oh, right. She was Miguel's second in the Gold Dust Cats, wasn't she?
That's right. She's always been a very critical and down-to-earth person. In other words, the complete opposite of a dreamer like me.
You're more an idealist than some pie-in-the-sky dreamer.
Even so, that's my brother's doing. He'd never let me stop seeing a brighter world. He always did what he could to keep me smiling and happy.
You must have meant a lot to him.
He wasn't just kind either. He always worked so hard to set an example for me and everyone else around him. He was a true big brother. So much so that when he thought I was asleep, he'd slip out of the house to go training on the outskirts of town.
You seem to know a lot about it.
That's because I only pretended to be asleep and would follow after him. You know what? I'm at a good stopping point with my shield. If you've got time, how about I tell you a couple more Miguel stories?
I guess I'd better get comfortable.
I'll take watch tonight. It's okay. Before we go, do you guys have everything?
Something feels odd here. Be on your guard.
I just noticed none of you other Dahnans have spirit cores. Why is that?
Both of my parents were part of the resistance in Calaglia. In fact, my birth was kept a secret from the Renans.
Mine too. We always lived in hiding, so I never had a spirit core embedded in me like I was supposed to.
What about you, Alphen? You were a slave in Calaglia before all this, weren't you?
To be completely honest, I'm not sure why I don't have one. All the other Dahnan slaves around me did. I was the only exception. They tended to keep their distance from me to avoid attracting any attention from the soldiers, because of my mask and all. What about you, Kisara? Do you still have your spirit core?
No. I was able to find a good Renan doctor who's sympathetic to our kind, and had them remove it before I left. They did such a great job, the procedure didn't even leave a scar.
One of the benefits of coexistence, huh?
I know that once the spirit vessel was shut down, there wasn't much need for me to hurry. But still, I didn't like having that mark of servitude lingering on me any longer than I had to. It may sound a little strange to hear me say this, but I'm just me now. Not a guardsman or a slave. I'm my own woman, and this is my chance to have a new beginning.
This sure is one rugged road. You'd think they'd keep this at least a little better maintained, right?
Why spend energy fixing that which is rarely used? Repairs require time and effort, which in our world means slaves, often in great numbers. For you, it may be a simple request, but that can quickly become another's difficult burden. Nobody gains anything without someone expending effort.
And you know, somehow that someone always ends up being a Dahnan, while the Renans are the ones who gain.
True enough. Ideally, in a perfect world, I think it's only fair that the ones who need it should be the ones to perform the work.
However, when doing so could be dangerous like it is here, there are many who would prefer that it be others who risk their lives in their stead.
So, what you're saying is that people will just put up with the inconvenience until someone else comes along to fix it for them?
Indeed. And it is those who can no longer bear that feeling that inevitably take action. Much like the Dahnans in our group do so now. As strange as it may be to hear such a thing from the likes of myself.
It's true that most of the Dahnans in Calaglia have been resigned to just accepting things as they are. Still, we can't just blame them for...
What are you making that face for? You're not worn out already, are you?
Nah, just regretting I ever said anything in the first place.